South Carolina game week is here. It is week 5 for both Tennessee and South Carolina. Tennessee is 3-1. South Carolina is 2-2. Tennessee's waited a whole year to get revenge on South Carolina. I think everybody knows what South Carolina did in prime time to Tennessee last year in Columbia. Tennessee was 20-point favorite, and South Carolina ended up beating Tennessee 63-38. South Carolina scored so many points that they ran out of fireworks on Tennessee. So this is Tennessee's chance to get revenge. Can they? We'll see. That's to be seen. This Tennessee team has been very inconsistent, and I really do not know what to expect out of them right now. So anyway, the last game of the year last week in week 4, South Carolina defeated Mississippi State 37-30. Tennessee beat UTSA 45-14. And so right now, Vegas is seeing Tennessee as a 12.5-point favorite. It's pretty high if you ask me. I would expect that line to be below 10 points. But Vegas is typically right, so I'm hoping they're right anyway. I'll say that. I'm hoping they're right. But I feel like this game's going to be much closer, and I think South Carolina's a very quality opponent and very capable of beating us. Strength of schedule. South Carolina right now has the 10th hardest schedule so far, 4 games into the year. Tennessee has the 37th hardest schedule. South Carolina has had a very tough schedule. They had to open up the year in Charlotte against North Carolina. Drake May, top 3 quarterback. They lost that game, and then they lost to Georgia in Athens. I don't know any team that could go into Athens and beat Georgia. That's a really hard really hard place to play against the number 1 team in the country. South Carolina was up 17-3 at halftime. Georgia came out, made adjustments. They ended up winning that game, but South Carolina played very, very well. You know, I think I'm on record saying I'm not a big fan of Shane Beamer. I think he's kind of goofy. I think he's kind of got some Butch Jones in him. But I will say one thing about Shane Beamer. I feel like his teams play very hard for him. So I got to tip my hat to him on that. He always gets his teams to play very hard. And they did that in the Georgia game. So anyway, let's compare these teams, how they match up. And so here I'm going to start this off with Tennessee's total offense versus South Carolina's total defense. Tennessee total offense-wise is 24th in the country. They are averaging 464 yards a game. South Carolina's total defense, they're 120th in the country. They are giving up 432 yards a game. South Carolina's total offense versus Tennessee's total defense. South Carolina's total offense is 53rd in the country. They are averaging 416 yards a game. Tennessee's total defense is 27th. They are giving up 302 yards a game. Tennessee's rushing offense versus South Carolina's rushing defense. Tennessee is 8th. They are averaging 230 yards a game on the ground. South Carolina's rushing defense is 46th. They're giving up 115 yards a game. And that's going to be a huge matchup to watch, how Tennessee runs against that South Carolina defense. I thought in the Georgia game, I thought South Carolina did a really good job limiting Georgia for the most part running. I know Georgia got theirs, but there was a huge portion of that game where I thought South Carolina did a really good job limiting the Georgia rushing attack. And then South Carolina's rushing offense versus Tennessee's rushing defense. South Carolina's rushing offense is not very good. They're 126th in the country, and they're averaging 76 yards a game. 126th in the country. In comparison, there's only 130 teams in FBS level football, so they're only 4 spots from the very bottom. Tennessee rushing defense is 42nd. They are giving up 111 yards a game on the ground. Tennessee's passing offense versus South Carolina's passing defense. Tennessee's passing offense is 73rd in the country. They are averaging 234 yards a game. South Carolina's passing defense is 126th. They are giving up 317 yards a game. right now in the air. Not very good. I really wish we had Hendon Hooker. He could really dissect that. We'll see. Hopefully, Joe Milton can pick apart that secondary and take advantage of that weak secondary that South Carolina's got. South Carolina's passing offense. So let's compare South Carolina's passing offense versus Tennessee's passing defense. South Carolina's passing offense is 8th in the country. They are averaging 340 yards a game. That's really, really good. Tennessee's passing defense is 36th. They are giving up 191 yards in the air. Okay. And now let's compare Tennessee's scoring offense versus South Carolina's scoring defense. Tennessee's scoring offense is 37th in the country. They are averaging 35 points a game. That's well behind last year's total. Tennessee was averaging in 2022. They were averaging 46 points a game. So we're 11 points behind last year, and we have the tougher part of our schedule coming up. So we're behind as far as scoring from last year. South Carolina's scoring defense is 81st. They're giving up on average 27 points a game. South Carolina's scoring offense is 69th in the country. Sorry, let me backtrack that. South Carolina scoring offense versus Tennessee scoring defense. Okay, let's compare those and how they match up. South Carolina scoring offense is 69th in the country. They are averaging 29 points a game. Tennessee scoring defense is 29th. They are giving up 17 points a game. So that's pretty good so far. But anyway, that's how those teams match up. Some things to really look at in this game is obviously Tennessee's rushing attack versus that South Carolina rushing defense. Obviously running the ball is our strength. It's going to be interesting to see how we match up. If we could run the ball, we need to run the ball, in my opinion, for at least 150 yards at the very bare minimum. I'd be more pleased and I'd be more comfortable if Tennessee ran closer to 200 yards a game against. If you see Tennessee run for 200 yards against South Carolina, I'm pretty sure we'll win that game. And then the stat to look for on the other side of the ball is how South Carolina throws against our secondary. We're going to find out how much our secondary has grown up and improved from last year. And they're going to have help, though. They're going to have a pass rush. Tennessee didn't get any kind of pass rush last year on Spencer Rattler, and he was able to carve us up. So a couple things are going to happen. We're going to have to defend them much better in the secondary. Tim Banks is going to have a better game plan in place. And we're going to have to be able to get Tyler Barron, James Pierce Jr. We're going to have to get those guys to be able to get pressure on him. I do think we do, because let me tell you, South Carolina has a very, very bad offensive line. He was sacked 7 times alone in the North Carolina game. He was sacked a multitude of times in the Georgia game. He's been running for his life. Now, Spencer Rattler is a very good mobile quarterback. He's able to get around, so he's very elusive. He's just not somebody that sits in the pocket and is easy to sack. So we have to be aware of that and make sure we don't break containment and let him get out and make a big play by making a big run or throwing it down the sideline for a big gain because we break containment. We have to keep him in the pocket. But anyway, let's get to my prediction. I went back and forth on this, and I'll be honest with you. If this game was not in Neyland Stadium, if this game was in Columbia, I would pick South Carolina to win this game. But because I honestly, and I'm not trying to be a negative here, I don't have a lot of faith in Joe Milton. He's just not shown me that he can go win a big ball game. But I do think the fact that we're 8th in the country in rushing, I think that we have a very good rushing offense. I think we got 3 really good running backs, and I think with our running backs and with our defense creating enough pressure on Rattler and it being at home, night game, revenge factor, I think Tennessee wins 31-27. I think we score just enough points. But I can also see South Carolina winning this game if we do not play four quarters of really good football. So that's my prediction. Tennessee 31, South Carolina 27. Go Vols.